Welcome to Mujeres Unscripted, where we amplify the voices of women through unique stories and shared identities. We're Christina,
And Renee.
and each week we dive into candid conversations about culture, career, and personal growth.
Join us as we celebrate the strength and resilience that connects us all. This
It's
is
Mujeres
Mujeres
Unscripted.
All right, welcome to Mujeres Unscripted. I am Renee,
I'm Christina.
and I'm so glad that you came back another week for us as we take on some topics or some interests from this past week of our lives. So I kind of brought this up last week with the Nelly and Ashanti. We're gonna go ahead and get into it with Nelly and Ashanti. You've seen the whole series, right?
I've watched about 4 episodes,
Okay, I'm two.
so I'm into it.
I'm two. I'm two in.
Okay.
And so he does, because my whole thing was about him not changing Pampers. That was my big thing. But then I heard what he said, and he's like, "I'm rich. I ain't got to change Pampers."
I got a nanny, and you know what? I'm sitting right here, and I'm like, he right.
You're right, because if I could afford,
I haven't seen Ashanti change a diaper either, so
right? Yeah.
let's not give him a hard time.
No, I take back all my negativity towards him about that comment because, yeah, if I had money like he had money, then heck yeah,
Yeah,
I ain't changing nothing.
sleep. I can sleep. Sleep is a high commodity when you're a new mother.
Yeah.
And if you're rich and you have a nanny, you're gonna sleep well.
Yeah.
You're gonna sleep well.
So I take back. You're right. You're right. If I had money like that, we'll pamper.
I would be like, I haven't had to change a diaper.
You see my nails, right? They ain't changing
Yeah,
Pampers.
they ain't changing Pampers. But if you had one,
Yeah.
you'd have to clip those off.
Yeah, I know. That's why you see, I started wearing my nails long when my youngest was like 6.
There you go. There you go.
But
The sacrifices we make, damn it.
I know, right?
No, but you know what? They keep my attention.
Yeah.
I like that they were off and on, and then it was over, and then for 20 years later,
Yeah.
they decided, all right, let's try this again. I mean, and I do think he's very loving, very just supportive, and who doesn't like that in the husband, right?
I didn't realize Nelly was pushing 50, or that he turned 50.
Well,
He got the shingle shot too.
he's in shingles age, as you put it before.
He's shingles age.
Yeah, on my face, who he was explaining how he got his shingles shot and his flu shot and how it took him out, and I had to remind him, hey, we're in our 50s. That's what it's going to do. And the fact that it took out a couple of our colleagues too, like the day after, we were like, oh, I got to take a day. And yeah, he's shingles age.
That's just crazy to me.
Welcome, Nelly.
But I think just you can tell when people haven't grown up with money. The whole mattress scene killed me.
Oh. As soon as he heard the amount, which I would have done too.
Before, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, fast forward a little bit, okay? But yeah, what did they call them? Because they didn't call them mattresses. They didn't call them pieces.
Tools. It was a something tool.
It'll come to us.
Yeah.
But I'm just Instruments.
Sleeping instruments.
Like a bed? Like, that's what I know that's what he was thinking, like a bed.
But there's a difference between them también.
Yes.
As far as like how they grew up, yes, we know that she grew up in New York and she's a New Yorker. They have their own persona anyway.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting. And then of course he grew up in St. Louis, and so he's you could see the difference between them, but I think they're really like into each other.
They are.
They're super cute together, and that's what I told myself. I'm like, this is a super cute couple. Even if they weren't who they are, I would still watch their show.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
yeah.
just something about their chemistry together.
I just my other issue. I don't know if it's an issue, but I'm like, I get it's your first time mom, but like
Oh, girl, don't
maybe
give her a hard time.
no, I'm gonna give her a hard time. Let little essay walk. You know, give him a little room.
She's a cutie. No, no, I'm sorry. Maybe because I only had one,
Maybe.
and I can feel her on that wavelength. I'm like, yeah. But until she has her second one, then she'll know the difference.
Well, maybe because I was a young tia. I was 14 when my niece was born, and like 17, almost 18 when my nephew was born. That it's just like I've done changed Pampers. I've done had overnights with them by the time I got out of high school. So you know, because they lived with us for a little bit. My sister and her whole family, not just the kiddos. But so it's just like by the time I had mine, and then my cousins had theirs, and by the time I had my first one, it was just like, here's a bottle, go
You
to
weren't
sleep.
as overprotective as she is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
yeah,
But I understand her too.
yeah.
You know,
But
she
then I'm
needs to
like,
get home.
but my whole thing was just take them on the plane if you that
No, she
worried.
didn't want to.
But she said she had her own private plane.
But she was also getting those feelings of like death scenes and yeah, you just can't.
That's true.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
true.
And it's weird because the older I've gotten, the less I want to fly now. I don't know.
Really,
Maybe it's with
the new
all the flights
regulations.
going down. Yeah,
That's got a
I'm
lot to
not.
do with it. Yeah.
I'll drive if I can drive. I'll drive.
Sorry, I know you're like, what is her fingers doing in my camera? I'm cleaning off part of my camera because it looks like you got a moco. You don't.
No.
You don't. It's my screen. Something was on my screen and I'm cleaning
I'm
it
like, and
up.
I'm like, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. You're moco free now.
Oh, and another summer view that I took myself to watch was Lilo and Stitch.
So cute. We've seen it
Loved
too.
it.
Yeah.
Thought it was super cute. Of course, my 17-year-old son and his girlfriend didn't want to go with me, and I
What?
said, okay.
A teenager
Yeah.
didn't want to hang out with his mom?
Or
What?
watch Lilo and Stitch. I know. And it broke my heart. I'm sitting there and I'm watching those special scenes, Ohana means family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and there's of course people and families around me and I'm like, my family didn't want to come see this with me. I'm fine. I made it through.
Well, we didn't. The two teenagers, we didn't. They didn't see it. We just saw it with the little two, with the 10-year-old who will be 11 here in a couple of days on the 20th.
Hey.
Yeah, and the 9-year-old. We went. They saw it, and she loves Lilo and Stitch. She has for years. It's not just because of the live one. She likes
Yeah.
the. I don't want to say that because Lilo and Stitch did do good the movies, but when people think of Disney and think of stuff like that, they don't automatically go to Lilo and Stitch. That's kind of like a 10th or 12th movie that someone like mentions. But she's
Definitely.
always this was always her thing.
She's true.
She's true from the minute she saw it, and then she's like, "Are we gonna watch one or two?" And my husband's like, "There's a two," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." There's a Lilo and Stitch too, guy. Just like there's
Yeah.
3 or 4 Aladdins and 3 or 4 Little Mermaids, and she of course has seen all of them. So I was really worried about her reaction because of the fact she had seen the cartoon one so much, and she is kind of like a lot of us in my family. Well, that's not the same. That's not the same. But she didn't have so much to say about this one. She thought it was really good. I really liked, and I was telling you this, the guy that played the skinny alien
Uh-huh.
because that was my favorite character in the movie. He's funny, he's naive, he thinks he got it all together, And so the guy who played him did a really, really good job.
Yeah, I really liked the little actress that played Lilo.
She did so
She was
good.
wonderful. So I hope
Yeah.
to see her in other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a super cute movie. I there was you're right, I tend to be one of those, true to the
Mhm.
original folks, but this one I enjoyed, and so I told Diego, I'm like, hey, when it shows up on Disney, we're gonna have to watch it. And he goes, okay, mom, I'll watch it. But of course, his girlfriend won't be here.
Yeah, it's different. But yeah, so those are two. If you haven't seen Nelly and Ashanti and really like them, or just like, you know, reality shows that are positive, because we have a lot of reality shows that are very negative. So
Yeah.
if you want a nice positive reality show, we do recommend Nelly and Ashanti. And then, of course, we recommend Lilo and Stitch as a family outing or by yourself. If you're a fan of
Yeah,
it
that's
yourself.
that's me. I mean, you might find yourself crying because your family's not there, but okay, Ohana.
um, but we do want to talk about what's going on in our state right now. If you haven't realized,
Mhm.
we do live in Texas, um, and this holiday weekend has not been so happy for many families here in Texas, and our prayers and thoughts are with them, especially as parents. You know, and like you were saying, you take your kiddo to away camps and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those parents that, I've dropped off Diego at a summer camp the last 3 years, and this is a teenage boy, and the last thing that's ever on my mind, oh, what dangers lurk, right? And I just picked him up from Austin last weekend, and never did I think
Mm-hmm.
that the weather would turn or that it would get this crazy. But unfortunately, we never leave them thinking something bad's going to
That
happen to
they
our kids.
that we wouldn't pick that they wouldn't be coming home.
Yeah, or that they wouldn't be coming home or something. Yeah, and it just breaks my heart to, for families not hearing anything yet. And
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a colleague of ours who he used to work where we work, and now he's at a different school. And one of his nieces is missing, so she was part of that camp and missed a camp, and so they're still looking. They're still looking for them.
Yeah, yeah, and we were talking, and this isn't the first time it's flooded. Um, I remember when I was younger, they had those cheesy Sunday night made for TV movies, right? Um, this actually happened before in 1987. And I just remember because my mom would watch. We grew up when there wasn't streaming services. Whatever was on TV
Yeah,
is whatever was on TV, and whatever your parents is watching, that's what you're watching. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah. So this is like the second major one because it's a movie that's called The Flood: colon, Who Will Save Our Children, and it was in 1993, but it was based on the same thing that happened on the Guadalupe,
On the
again,
river. Yeah.
on the river in 1987, where 47 teenagers were trapped in a flash flood near Comfort, Texas, which is down there too in Hill Country, and 10 deaths, including one during a rescue attempt, and that's one thing we're seeing right now is a lot of rescue attempts, and we've seen the helicopters and stuff like that, and I
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people are questioning, and I don't like when people do this. You question the victims, like questioning why you still live there, why would you go there, when all this stuff happens, and you know, you're gonna stop living.
No,
Again,
of
like you
course
said,
not.
this is not
No.
something that's at the front of our brains when we're thinking of
Right.
doing vacations or sending, because an RV park got
Yeah, swept away.
taken
The
away.
whole RV.
Mm-hmm.
Every RV they had on their property. Luckily, they had told the people just go. Just
Yeah.
get in your cars and go if you can. And but yeah, they were interviewing them this morning.
And then I was reading some comments, and one of the ladies was like, "We really in Texas don't take the flash flood warning very seriously. And I
Yeah.
know I don't. When we see flash flooding here around where we stay, it's like, don't go under the bridge. If you see a puddle, don't drive over it. If just because we don't really see very often this huge amount. And one commenter, and I agree with this, maybe we need to have some kind of levels of flash floods,
Mm.
just like we have levels of tornado. That was a F1, that was a F2. So that we can understand how much rain is coming in a short amount of
Yeah,
time.
because you still see people who will attempt to cross, you know, even though you've got that measurement saying if it's here, turn back,
Yeah.
and people still think it's my car can handle it. Really? Water is the most deadliest form that people have died in. So I don't understand why they think their Range Rover can not flood.
And I don't know about you, I don't have money to buy a whole brand new car because that's what you're gonna have to
Really?
do. That's what's gonna happen if you go and challenge
Yeah,
these.
yeah,
You're gonna have to buy a brand new vehicle because you've ruined it. But I think we, and we don't flood very much up here because we're in North Central Texas. But I think definitely we need to come up with some kind of level system. So like, hey, you're about to get 40 inches in 2 hours.
yeah.
And I don't think
But
that was
from what I was
communicated
reading,
very well.
yeah, from what I was reading from a weather forecaster, that they weren't enough balloons. Apparently, there's like 20 weather balloons in the state of Texas, and they're not enough to cover all that area. So
Mm-hmm.
the prediction wasn't accurate. So yeah, they were predicting flash floods north of all that area, but I
Okay.
guess because the coverage of those balloons weren't sufficient enough to cover the area in like Kerrville area, that the data wasn't being relayed to the weather
The
folks,
station.
and so yeah, and so yeah, it's unfortunate.
Didn't they get cut? Their funding got cut, right?
Yeah, they
Okay.
got cut. Well, and the reason, I'm not trying to play the devil's advocate here, but the reason that the technology was so bad, they needed to scrap it out and
Upgrade?
upgrade. And so the upgrades what's been taking a while.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, even I think it was upgraded before they were, yeah, cut short. I want to say that.
Okay. But yeah, so, as a parent, that sucks. And,
Yeah.
even those that, live in Kerrville, they're pretty much destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see now the tributaries from the Guadalupe, they're getting full. So now, like, Llano River is getting full. All these new, I think it's New Braunfels is getting kind of full.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and they're supposed to get more rain.
Yeah.
They're supposed to still
Yeah.
get
I
more
mean,
rain in
it's
that
sad.
area. So,
So
yeah, so our
yeah, to
prayers.
all who's being affected by it, who, uh, people who are still being saved, our rescue, operations. Yeah, definitely sending out our prayers and positive vibes, and if anyone's still holding on,
Just keep on
hold
holding
on,
on.
man, hold
Yeah.
on,
But the one thing I
hold
do,
on.
there's a lot of craziness going on in our state right now. But I will say, when stuff like this happens, as Texans, we really do start to help one another. Like HEB has already sent
Yeah.
a caravan down that way. I believe Walmart has sent stuff down that way. Firefighters from all departments, I think, are heading that way too to help with cleanup and stuff. So, and I know a lot of churches in our state go and they have little caravans down that way to help
Mm-hmm.
people. So I will say, like I said, there's a lot of craziness going on in our state right now, but no matter what politically society is happening in times of stuff like this, we really do help one another.
Yeah. This isn't the time to be blaming anyone right now at this point. Let's just do what we need to do as a communities and pick up the pieces and rebuild, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. That was, yeah. Yeah. So, on a happier note or a lighter note or
Or
whatever,
yeah,
uh,
lighter or it's just something to kind of like, all right.
we
Um
saw. You had a question.
well, I had a question. I came across this question and it made me wonder. It started made me, like as adults, we buy things, right?
Hmm.
And you have to wonder why is it that you always are buying these particular items. And so the question was, what is your go-to something as an adult that you were denied as a child, right? What are those? What are those things or objects, um, items that, as a child, you were denied of? And so I asked my husband. We were in bed this morning, and I'm like, "Hey, what were you denied of? As a kiddo?" And he said, "Regular orange juice, right?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" So he always tells me the stories of his dad would crank out the those orange juice concentrate cans,
Hmm.
and that's how they would every morning, because one, economically, you know
The ones where
it
you
was
just add
cheaper.
water.
Yeah, the ones you just add water to,
Okay.
right? And you make a pitcher and
Yeah.
you're done. You got your orange juice. So, but
Yeah.
my husband now buys the nice, good. It may cost a little bit more, but for him, it is orange juice and liquid gold, as he calls it. Because for so long, as a kiddo, he was denied that. Maybe it was Tropicana or maybe it was Minute Maid, but it might have been Minute Maid, but it came from a can, and
Yeah. It
although
tastes
he
different.
appreciated it,
It
although
tastes
he appreciated,
different.
yeah, it was just a little different, right? It was just a little different. So he asked me, he was, well, what were you denied? And I was like, it really took me back, and it almost made me a little emotional because I like to think I was an artist when I was a child, and I was denied really good art supplies.
Hmm.
Sure, my mom made sure we had matte pencils or crayons, but to her that was it, right? That's
Yeah.
all you needed as a kid. And I would enter art contests, and I remember one that I won at my elementary school, and I was proud of my piece, um, and I was like trying to think back. I'm like, what did I use? Like matte pencils, and
Yeah.
and that burnt paper. Because again, to her, that's all you would
It's
need.
whatever was
And
in the
so,
aisle at Walmart.
yeah,
That's
that
what
was
you
for
got.
cheap, right?
Yeah.
Because she had 4 kids she had to take care of. So for me, my thing is now is that if I'm gonna go and buy some art supplies for myself,
Hmm.
I don't go cheap. I go and buy myself with a nice case with all the beautiful colors, and if I grab a nice brush, that
Yeah.
even though I may not use them every day, I know I have them, and my inner child is very happy with them.
Um.
So what are your items?
So probably with the amount of pens and highlighters, people would think that that's what it would be.
Oh, it's not.
It's
Okay.
not. I was never denied pens and highlighters, especially as my mom as an educator, she just thought that was the best thing that I'm color in her mind I'm color coding stuff and I'm like, no, I'm just every sentence is a different color. But and then she growing up and then becoming a teacher, the brain loves color, you retain information better. But no, my mom anytime I wanted a pen or a highlighter, I because of the big difference between me and my sister had moved out when I was 9. So
Mm,
I didn't really get told no very much when it came to stuff that I wanted.
yeah.
Um, but there was this one specific trapper keeper
Ah.
that I wanted. And my mom's like, you're not getting a trapper keeper, period. And so I was just, yeah. Maybe she,
But why?
Maybe she was perimenopausal, menopausal. You never know. I see that now, and I could be like, I could understand why she told me no.
She was having a low day.
She,
Okay.
yeah, that might have been it. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I was not. She just didn't want to get me a Trapper Keeper. She just didn't want to get me a Trapper Keeper, and so when I saw the Trapper Keeper that I wanted in third grade Renee bought herself the purple pink triangular Trapper Keeper.
Very 80s style.
Very 80s style. And I don't have nothing really important in there. I don't.
No?
No, no. The only thing I have in there in the folder that might be important is the Teaks for Moss. And that's,
Nice.
I have like notebook paper, dividers. But like you said, and I take it to work, and so don't make fun of me. I take it to work every day. I don't use it. But just like you said, you know that you have it and you know where it's at. Well, my Trapper
It's
Keeper.
that comfort.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I take it with me every day at work. And so
Interesting.
yeah, my go-to is my
It's not like you take it to a meeting. You don't.
Mm-mm.
No. Why? Why are you
You,
gonna put me?
you've
in there
never
too?
seen it, we sit together because we're all history. Have you ever seen me take out my Trapper Keeper?
No. But I would think it's cute you bringing it with you.
It's in my backpack. It is in there. And like I said, it's sitting right next to me. The minute, we talked about this, we do discuss what we're going to talk about. I was like, it's right here. It's right next to me on my desk. And, I have dividers. I have notebook paper. And that's it. What is this? Oh, that's something for PD. But yeah. The folders, look, empty. They're empty.
Empty.
They're empty. Like I said, the only thing is I have the Moss Teaks in one. That's it.
Yeah.
But I have it with me even now.
Close proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my kid, I'm like, don't touch it. Leave my Trapper Keeper alone. Why are you touching it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one gets to touch that.
No one gets it.
No.
Third grade Renee does not want anybody touching her Trapper Keeper. I don't care if it's grown Renee's kids trying to touch it. Third grade Renee is telling you, be gone.
Don't touch my shit.
Yes.
No, I'm like that too because I have my watercolors in two places.
Okay.
And that I know I can get to. But if I see anyone messing with my brushes, no, I have not used them.
But that
But you
doesn't
don't
mean
get
you
to touch
can
it.
too.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder, I'm, now I'm just like, what does that say about our childhood? But, no. Well, but what does that say about us as adults? That now that we're in a comfortable financial place, that, you know what, those things are easy to get.
And
And if I can supply that for my son, who's an artist now, I'm going to.
And and I've said this before. I thought my kiddos not playing sports was going to be a cheap out, but this, my e-gamers, my artists, it's like, Mom, I need this one brush, and it's $25, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's not cheap being an artist.
No, at all.
Being an artist isn't cheap.
No.
Trying to sell your stuff, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like, you know what? You want the best? You're gonna do your best. I'm gonna buy you the best. But yeah. But I don't think that's me or you spoiling them.
I just think
I've always told Diego, to me, that I'm investing in you.
Yeah. And I don't think our parents invested in us.
Well, could they? I mean, let's. I don't think I've already. I am good with my mom. She's on now. 18 years, and I'm okay with how she did. I'm not the person, right? So I don't blame her, but I kind of, I'm like kicking the can. I'm like, man.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like, my parents now, like you said, as they got older, we gone through some stuff, and there's some things that I've apologized to my kids that, we've put them through in life, and I know you probably have done the same. Our parents never apologized to us, by the way, guys.
No, they didn't.
They would.
Well, she apologized towards the end, and of course that's when we're like, "There's nothing to apologize
Right,
for,"
right.
that kind of thing. But
But they would
I get
apologize.
it now. I get it.
They would apologize for like, you know, little things, not major emotional trauma.
For spanking me, no, she's not gonna apologize.
Yeah, she's not gonna forget that.
apologizing for that.
But like I said, they would apologize for like the smaller things, but not the emotional traumatic thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
they put us through.
no, put
Um,
her foot down. Yeah,
and where I have, and but like you said, they didn't invest in us. I don't know why, because I don't know. Because my mom, I did dance, which is not cheap when I was little.
no,
And
no, that is not cheap.
I was in tap, ballet, jazz, and gymnastics. Then I went,
Cute.
and then I went to folklorico, which again, costumes, makeup, hair,
Yeah.
shoes. I went through shoes like 2 pair in a year, and we at that time they didn't have them here in America, so we had to get them shipped from Mexico.
Wow.
And so, so I can't say she didn't invest in that, but I think they invested in the stuff that they wanted. We were fulfilling what they wanted to do when they were younger. I think. Does that make sense? Like,
that makes sense.
I think my mom wanted to dance when she was younger, and she wanted to do folklorico, and here I am. I'm able to do it, and so she was investing in that stuff. But the stuff that I kind of think that really meant more to me, it was kind of like, no.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying I didn't enjoy those things.
Yeah,
I loved those
you did 'em.
experiences, and running around the Majestic Theater at 13. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And drill team and all that kind of stuff. But I think about it now, and I'm like, I think I did that for my mom more than I did that for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that way for my kids. I want. Alicia loves drawing. I'm going to get you what you need. Joseph and Rebecca are all about. Well, now Rebecca's picked up photography. So, girl, I'm like, y'all can't choose cheap hobbies. Like, what's going on?
See, that's why your mom did what she did, because at least she knew how much she was spending on dance.
Yeah.
She knew how much she can provide, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you, because I was an athlete all from middle school all the way up to senior year, and if it wasn't for the schools providing the uniforms, right? We only did club soccer when we were younger, and that's when our parents were still together. But once they were separated, and it was like, no, you're just doing school sports. Why? Because it was cheap and everything's provided, and and if she didn't even like having to pick us up after a game, but she still did it, right? But it was, to her, it was cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah.
And if it was the arts, you're just gonna have to wait. You're gonna either have to be on stage or figure out a way to provide yourself with those instruments, right? But
yeah.
It was not. Yeah. It wasn't what. Yeah. And it was the same for college for her. It was like, well, if that's where you want to go, you need to figure out how to get there. And it's like, you mean you're not helping me with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It was.
And now, of course, I'm like, son, I'll make sure I'll drive you.
Yes.
And I'll make sure your dorm room's provided for. And yeah.
And
everything my mom didn't do, I'm doing, of course, for my son.
Yes. And that goes back to like a meme I saw was like, why are kids like not as grown up as as we were at that age? And it's like, because they don't have to be.
They don't have to. That's it. They don't have to. Why should they?
Exactly. I don't want to have to my kid to get a job because we need help with the house. I want them to get a job because they want to get a job and make money for themselves. And and so I think that's the difference, because we do, me and my husband will look at him and be like, oh, when we were your age, we were doing this, and this, and why can't you be that way?
We're already doing this.
Yeah, and then I'm like,
yeah, I get it.
And then I'm like, oh, because they're kids. This is exactly how they're supposed to be, and it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna pay for his driver's test, but why are we rushing that? we all commute to the same location, so there's no need.
Yeah,
I'm not rushing him to get a car.
me
Another
either.
day.
Me either. Alicia's just like, like she just turned 16 and she's like, I just need to get my ID for this trip for my passport.
Yeah.
She's not into driving, whereas like the minute we could drive and get out the house, our parents were like, bye. Go to the store. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Go to the store.
Yeah, ándale. Mandado.
Yeah.
Está la lista.
So, I think we have to take that into consideration too when we look at these kids and they're just like, why the hell are you not understanding? Well, because they're still kids. They have an actual teenage mind and not having to be like, okay, I got to get up and do this and this and this and this and finish that list and then go to work and then.
My students will ask me, they're like, your son doesn't work? No, why should he? I work.
Yeah.
And it's there's a disconnect there, and it's like, well, I'm the parent. He's not an adult until 18, and then if he goes to college, he's still under my care.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just looking at me like, oh, I just got off work at 2:30, and
I know.
Feel bad,
I know.
But you're right. A lot of our kids have to grow up.
They do.
Faster.
They do.
Because they have to.
Because they have to. Mm-hmm.
Kids don't.
And so, I'm very thankful that the Lord has put that into,
right?
that we're able to, our kids not have to worry about a job and just, rack up $100 paintbrushes on me and $60 games. And
well, sooner or later, she's going to have to buy her own.
well, she is getting a job. Right now, I just want her to, I'm like, girl, sell your art.
Yeah, that's your job.
I don't know why. I don't know what. Even though I'll post it on Facebook and people will say great things about it, she still doesn't feel that they're worthy enough to be paid for.
I keep telling him, look,
yours too.
Yeah, I will market your shit.
Me
don't
too.
Care. We'll find a little booth at a Comic-Con. Why not? I'll pay for the booth. All you got to do is sell. And he'll he'll look at me like, oh, that's such a good idea, Mom. Yeah,
it's a great idea. And then, but after that, it's like, I'm like, no.
But he's got to want it.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. So yeah, but yeah, I like the fact that our kids are kids, and they could be who they want to be. And I posted that on Facebook. That's a flex. Having kids being able to be who they want to be and not what we want them to be.
There you go. There you go.
So, all right. It's 40. We hit 40 today.
Yeah. It's a good time to stop here.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional. I'm in my feels now.
I'm like, remember, she's got 1 year before her baby goes to school.
Don't get me started. It's already started. But
in the comments, let us know, what is your item? Christina, repeat the question that you had.
What is your go-to something as an adult that you were denied as a child?
Let us know. Let us know what yours are. Or if you've never really even thought about it before, just let us know. All right. Guys, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. Again, I am Renee.
And I'm Christina.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.